Happy Father's Day to everyone. Day for us to celebrate the life of being a father, everything that comes along with it. Um, there's no doubt it is a tremendous responsibility being a father on so many different levels. And today, as I celebrate, also, I'm praying that all of the fathers out there that that you all, including myself, will do the best that you can as far as being a man of faith, a man of God, and making difficult decisions in times of transition of our children, our family as a whole, and then we will continue to do the best we can. One of the things I remember years ago, I heard someone say that one thing about being a parent in general, not just a father, but being a parent is that being a parent, it doesn't come with a manual. There is no there is no book on exactly how to do it. Some people have tried to wrap their minds around it. And of course, there are books out there about parenting and ideas, but the truth is, you pretty much figure this thing out as a parent as you go. Fathers as well don't have all the answers. We kind of figure it out as we go, praying that we're making the best decisions for our children and for our families. With that being said, I want to take this opportunity to use this platform for a moment of um, maybe confirmation to a lot of fathers out there. And I don't want to go into great detail about the text, but the text that we're going to look at today for this moment of Father's Day, I'm praying that it will be a starting point, launching pad to get us where we need to be as fathers, especially for those who live by faith. God is the author of their author and finisher of their faith, and who trust and depend on God every step of the way. The book of Genesis, chapter 12. I want to look at one verse, and this is such a powerful verse. I won't have the opportunity today to unpack everything that's happened in Abraham's, or at this time, Abram's life. But I want to use Genesis chapter 12, verse number 1, as again, maybe confirmation, motivation of maybe some things, fathers, dads, you've been praying about. And I want to talk about it just for a few minutes. Genesis chapter 12, verse number 1. The NIV reads, the Lord had said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. The Lord said to Abram, go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. And I want to take this opportunity to talk just from the thought, from the subject, a faithful walk. A faithful walk. You know, I think, me personally, one of the hardest things about being a father is making decisions that not necessarily only consider me, but the decisions I make, big decisions, not only affect me, but it affect the people around me, and particularly my family. I know I'm not the only father who has had to make some difficult decisions, life decisions, that the Lord had showed you, the Lord had spoke to you. And it wasn't so much necessary that per se the father had an issue with what the Lord was saying, but it was the fact that your family was a part of what the Lord had told you. Let me explain myself. 7 years ago, the Lord placed on my heart and my spirit to um, move back to this area, move back to the Lynchburg, Appomattox area, to pastor the great church that I pastor now, Zion Baptist Church. I felt the Lord moving me in that direction, and I was confident that this is what God was speaking to me at this particular time in my life. There was no question. Some of you at Zion Baptist have heard this testimony before, but it was no question what God was saying to me, what to leave behind and move back to the area. The problem I had was me taking that faith walk didn't just affect me, but it affected my children. And I'll be honest with you, and you can say whatever you want, but I questioned God about it. I couldn't understand why God will ask me to do this, command me to do this at such a time as this. The biggest thing for me was my oldest daughter was her getting ready to enter her second year in college. And the walk that God was telling me to take financially, it did not add up. It just did not, it wasn't possible financially. If I told you the whole testimony, some of you would definitely say I was stupid. You were dumb. There's no way in the world, that whole thing. It didn't add up financially, but I trusted God. I trusted God. My daughter still graduated college. Her mother and I still were able to make her tuition payments. All glory goes to God. I tell you that story, fathers, because I'm not the only one that's had to make a difficult decision as a father. I'm not the only one who's had to answer questions from other people who did not hear what the Lord had spoke to me. And so today I want to encourage you that being a father requires us to walk by faith. Genesis chapter 12, verse number 1, God tells Abram, who later becomes Abraham, leave everything behind. Now, mind you, he's 75 years old. I'm pretty sure he's accumulated a whole lot of possessions. He says, you leave everything behind and go. But here's the key. He says, you're going somewhere, and I'll tell you where you're going when you get there. He does not tell Abram the destination in which he's going until he gets to the destination. One of the things about God is God will send us. He may show you a glimpse of the ending, but he never really shows us the whole course. That's why we have to operate in faith. If God sent us to a destination, if God told us to leave our job to start our own business, if he told us to leave, go to a different place, if he told us to expand your business, all of these things require faith. If God showed us how it actually was going to pan out all the way through, most people would jump on it because they would be able to see the whole journey. They would see what struggles would come ahead, what roadblocks they would face. They would see the good times within the transition that God was sending them on. But God doesn't always operate that way. God will tell us to go, and the hesitation for us is we don't know what to expect once we leave that place of familiarity and comfortableness. The reason most of us stay where we are is because we're comfortable. We know what to expect. We know what time to get up. We know who's coming at what time. We know what to expect on the job. We have an idea how much money our business is going to make. A lot of us miss an opportunity of a lifetime because we won't go when God tells us to go. Abraham could have stayed where he was, but he would have missed the blessing of God. And those generations behind him in his family would have missed the whole blessing of God. Father, this is difficult to walk when God has spoken something in your life and he has not necessarily spoken to your wife or your children. Can you imagine? Let's look at it from a real perspective. Can you imagine Abram going to Sarah saying, "We're about to leave"? Sarah said, "Where we going?" He says, "Well, I don't know. We're just gonna start walking, and when we get to where God wants us to be, God gonna tell me." Can you imagine how that conversation went? For all the ladies out there, could you imagine that conversation if your husband comes home one day and says, "I'm leaving my job within 30 days and I'm gonna start my own business"? What? But it's a walk of faith. And as fathers, that's a difficult thing for us to do. Because like I said in the introduction, it does not necessarily affect us, but it affects the people around us. So I want to encourage you on Father's Day to keep on walking by faith in these difficult and uncertain times. Who knows what the economy is going to do within the next 6 months, 8 months. But men, we have to walk by faith. We have to listen to the voice of God and do our best to do what God has called us to do. I want to say this very briefly, that what God has called you to may not be popular or acceptable to someone else. Because let's be truthful about this. Sometimes what God has called us to do, other folk think we should be doing more. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. I heard a local politician say one time, a couple of weeks ago during the election here in Lynchburg, that one of the hardest things about being in his position, that no matter how much he does, there's somebody on the outside saying, "Well, you should have done more." And I remember him saying that as I do my best to lead in the city of Lynchburg, I'm always constantly asking God, which direction would you have me to take this city? How can I help be a part of the city of Lynchburg moving forward? And men, that's the same thing, same prayer we should have along those lines as being fathers. God, not what someone else think I should be doing, not the direction someone else think I should take, but as a man of God, where would you have me to go? And again, that place that God carries you, it may not be a popular place, but Abraham trusted God. He never asked God any questions. He trusted God. Trusting God means that you have a relationship with God. It's hard to trust someone you don't know. But our human nature has the tendency to trust people that we have relationships with, someone we have a track record with. And I know that God has done exceedingly more than we could ever ask or imagine. And when you have that relationship with him, and you look back over your life and see the track record of success that God has had in your life, it's easy to walk with him. Happy Father's Day to you again. Walk by faith, not by sight. Men, as we continue to support and carry our families in the direction that God will have us to go. God bless.